Voice, your community action program dedicated to bringing you the issues that impact America and concern Colorado. Brought to you every week at this time by the El Paso County Democratic Party, your voice in the future of Colorado Springs.
Good evening and welcome to the Democratic Voice. I'm Les Thompson, sitting in for Fred Hardy, who's out of town this week. Once again, the Democratic Party's hard at work, recruiting volunteers, phone banking. The candidates are out walking precincts. We have Tony Marino, who's running for Senate District 11. Tony's looking for a big victory in November, and Tony and his campaign are hard at work, out walking the precinct, meeting the voters, talking to the voters about what their issues are. House District 18, Michael Merrifield. House District 17, PM Wynn. Both those candidates are hard at work. In House District 21, we have Tim Snowden running. That represents the southwestern part of Colorado Springs and down into Fremont County. Also down in the Security Widefield area, Ken Burrell is running for House District 19. Ken will make a great candidate. I think he'll do a fine job of representing the voters of El Paso County that live in that area. Also in House District 15, we have Charlie Johnson running to represent the voters in the eastern part of Colorado Springs in that area. And tonight we have with us Mark Entrikin. Mark Entrikin's running for House District 16, which is kind of the north-central part of Colorado Springs. Good evening, Mark, and welcome.
Les, thank you very much. Good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
You bet. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you've decided to run for House District 16?
Great, Les. Please, that'd be great. I think a great way to start off. My political career, so to speak, started back in the 90s, and it kind of increased. Matter of fact, I even tried to fill a position back in Denver, back when I lived in Denver County, when Regis Grief retired in the middle of the session. And I went through the vacancy committee, just working through that process, but it was large and it was big. It was a great learning experience for me, but I saw right at the time that I was not experienced in the areas I needed to be. And so I stepped back, tried to get more involved in the Democratic Party, tried to work more with the people, try to learn more about the issues and what we're doing, trying to find out more about how we can make resolutions to our process, because I think everyone knows we don't have a perfect government right now. We need to make changes. We need to make it a little bit better. And that's the training, that's the learning that I tried to work with to find out things that we can do. So back in 1998, I ran for the same position, House District 16, did a great job. I had a lot of good support, but at the time, I probably didn't have the time that I needed to get out and walk the neighborhood. I didn't have maybe the volunteers' knowledge of what I needed to do to get out and do these things. And I think this year, in talking to the party, the county party, and what we are trying to do together, I think we've definitely over the years built a better, more strength in what we're doing and built a better foundation to work from. And I think we're ready now to do more, and I have a better area to turn to. So I'm running this time to take on, I guess, the biggest battle that I've ever taken on, and being able to reach out more to the voters and the people in House District 16 and to get more volunteers so that we're all working on the same path. I think that the knowledge I have gained over the past few years has strengthened my ability. The county party has grown, the Democratic Club has grown, the Democratic Women's Club has grown, our young Dems are growing. I think it's time now that we can really step out and deal a winning hand to make this work.
Okay. I know you have a little bit of experience in government. You sit on a couple of the county boards or one of the county boards. Would you tell us a little bit about that and what you do there?
Yes, I do. I sit on the El Paso County Highway and Traffic Commission, and what we do in that, as far as the board, is we work directly with the county commissioners in where our budget money is going, what are the best scenarios that we can do to make the county roads better. We get a lot of money through the county, but of course we support the cities within our county. But we have a lot to do as far as transportation so that the people within our county can get to one end of the county to the other. People that travel in Colorado Springs can reach out to the outlying areas and be able to get to these areas without the congestion that I know we see from Denver to in the larger cities. So we put together plans. We worked the best way that we can to make sure that our budget dollar is going for the roads, the improvements, the drainage that makes El Paso County a better place to travel. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's also great working with our county commissioners.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about education. As a representative for House District 16, where do you stand on education here in El Paso County, and what do you feel needs to improve or remain the same even?
Les, that's a great question. One of the big benefits with House District 16 is we engulf the majority, if not all of, School District 11. So we have a large school population just within our district. And there is no doubt that our schools are doing the best that they can right now. But I think they have been left out as far as financing. When we have classrooms, and especially the younger age, it's not a situation where we can put 100 kids in a senior classroom by any means. But when we're working with kids in the first to third grades, they're just getting into the school front. They're just learning about what school is and getting out into a new area. We need to keep those school classroom sizes down. Our superintendent, I know, is doing a great job, doing what they can. And I know we passed a bill this last time to support our schools and so that they have more money to work with. Well, just having the money is not enough. We need to be able to work with that money and provide that money to the areas we need most. We don't want it all going to overhead. We don't want it to go to specific people. We want to make sure that the money that we have goes to support the largest number of our kids. Our children spend a great majority of their time in the school, in the classroom, in the sporting events. A lot of the teachers and a lot of the people in the schools are mentors to our children. We need to make sure that the teachers that they are using as mentors are what we'd want them to be. I know that they have desires and needs and processes. Well, if they don't have the money to put their classrooms together, to build a school that our kids can learn from, we have a major issue with what happens to them when they're in the 4th through 6th grade, what happens in the middle schools, what happens in high schools. What have they learned that they've kind of built their foundation on that they really can't carry forward? How can we support them from the time they start school to the time they graduate? We need a plan for that, and we need to be able to work with our superintendents to make sure that plan is carried through.
So working with the schools, with the superintendents and the teachers, make sure they have the resources available to teach.
Exactly, and you brought up a good point there too, because you don't want to concentrate just on the superintendents. The teachers are the ones that do the work. We need to support the teachers one-on-one. We need to make sure the parents are endorsed, they're supported to become part of the school. Right. They're asked to come to school events. They're asked to come give their opinions. If something's going on at the school, good or bad, how do the parents feel? Parents to be involved in how their kids are doing. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, let's talk about it. Let's work out a plan so we can make it better for everyone.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of talk about holding our schools responsible for the kids' education, and you know, we need to do that. But at the same time, we got to supply the resources and give them the tools they need to educate.
Exactly. You're making a very good point. We do want to hold the kids responsible also. We do want to hold the parents responsible also. We can't say, okay, it's 8 o'clock or 7:30, you're off to school, I don't have to worry about you anymore because somebody else is taking care of you. Yeah. School goes beyond that. School's very much parent involvement. It's more than just saying, hey, go let somebody else take care of you. It's a situation that we can work with our teachers, work with our schools, make it better for the kids, make sure the money's there, and then when we get the money there, make sure the money is being handled responsibly. That way we have a winning team.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to an issue that we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago about families being able to support themselves, having a livable wage, being able to participate in the community and the schools, and not have to worry about working overtime or how they're going to make ends meet. You know, that's one of the things that, you know, Colorado families, they need to make livable wages so they have time to participate in kids' education.
So true. One of the things that, I mean, you bring that up as we're talking about schools, so many things that we do, we work on symptoms instead of true problems. And since you talk about a livable wage, our parents must have a livable wage to make it from day to day. Quit working just from paycheck to paycheck. Be able to invest more. And I know one of the issues that we have, and I know in the Midwest this past election cycle, we have that cliche of called right to work. And I just don't think people understand, if they look into that right to work scenario, it's actually the right to work for less. The workers, the people that are out there giving us our strength through employment, are being forced to work for lesser dollars.
Right.
The same amount of work that they do, when they get down to the bottom line, they're paid less. And this can go in anything from insurance to benefits to anything that the employee usually gets. Right to work takes a lot of that away from them. And when it takes it away from the employee, when you're making less money, it impacts your children. It impacts your community. There's so much more to these issues than just saying, yeah, but right to work, everybody has the right to work. You have that already. Why are you complaining about right to work? Everyone has the right to work. You have a right to be employed. Jobs right now, they're a little bit more difficult here, I think, in Colorado Springs in some areas, but there are still jobs out there. But if you go get a job, to go be employed, it's been there. We've had that way back since 1776 and forward. So that's not the issue. Right to work is not an issue. How you're being supported at your employer,
Right.
that's the issue. So we need to stop this right to work cliche. Let's call it what it really is. It's a right to work for less. Our working public, the working people, need to be supported. They need to know that when something goes right or wrong, which is usually the case, they have someone they can go to. It's like our government. Running for House District 16, I want to be open to the people. If you've got a problem, I've got email, I've got telephones. Let me know. I want to be able to support you. The general public can't just go say, well, these things are going wrong, what do I do? That's why we have so much apathy. They think, well, there's nothing I can do. There is. House District 16, you can call me. I'll be able to get in there and do something. Back to right to work, it's the same thing. If you're an employee for a company and you have a problem, who do you go to? Well, you go to your boss. If your boss agrees with you, great. If your boss doesn't agree with you, well, how much longer are you going to be employed?
Right.
Maybe your boss does agree with you, but maybe his boss doesn't. Same situation. If we have right to work come in, you lose your support. If we continue with the union process of having a support system for your employment, you have a problem, you take it to someone who cares. You take it to someone who's going to support you through the cycle. So you don't have to worry about your job. You don't have to worry about being laid off or terminated. You got somebody to support you through the issue, helping you resolve the issue and make it go forward. And I guess as I say that, that's what I'd like to bring to District 16. As I call it, Mark Entrikin, your main entrance to a responsible government. It's a situation that if we have problems, if anyone in my House District has a problem, I will be reachable. They can contact me. I can take their issues forward.
Right.
I think that's the same thing we need in our employment process. If you have a problem, whether you work for a large company, a small company, if you have problems, you have someone to go to. And that's, again, back to right to work. That's what we're losing if we take that right to work scenario any farther.
Yeah, so right to work doesn't give anybody a right to work. Here in Colorado, we're an at-will state anyway.
Already.
You have the right to make application to any employer, and the employer has a right to hire you or not hire you based on qualifications.
Right now, that's just it. If you are qualified for the job today, not tomorrow, today, you already have that right.
Yeah.
We don't need right to work.
Exactly. One of the other issues, a big issue that we see a lot in the newspapers or hear on the news is health care. Health care costs are rising anywhere 18 to 30 to even 60%. And even right here, and we see a lot of people that their health care costs are going out of sight. They're losing their health care because they can't afford it. If they can't afford it, they're taking cuts in benefits.
Yes.
You'd like to talk a little bit about health care.
Les, I would. Thank you so much, because that is a big, big issue for anyone, excuse me, for anyone that does have prescription drugs. They are paying more in prescription drugs than they have ever paid in their life. too many times what they have to pay just making on a monthly basis for the drugs, the prescriptions that they need to make it from day to day. They're paying 40 to 60% of their income for those prescription drugs. That's way, way too much. We look at the drug companies. Look at what they're making. We just look at the generic drugs. Once the patent runs out on a drug and you can go generic, you now have an affordable resource for your prescription drug. But now the drug companies take and may make one small change to that drug that you're taking. They reenact that patent, so for the next 10 years, you're still paying 10 times what that drug should cost. When we do comparisons to Europe, anywhere overseas, Australia, what they are paying for the same drug that we're paying for here, we pay 2, 3, and 4 times as much for that same drug as other countries do. If we could just match what they are paying for the drug, it would help. And I look toward our seniors. So many of them need some, nothing major, but they need some sort of prescription drug on a pretty much a regular basis. When they're taking 40 to 60% of their income just to have a maintainable life, that is not fair. That is just poor management. We look at the drug companies, how much they're making, and then we look at the overseas and how much they're paying for that same drug. Someone's got their little finger in the pie, and it's not helping the people who have made the country what it is today. And again, I look at our seniors. We wouldn't have what we have today. We wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today if it wasn't for our senior population.
Well, you brought up a real good point. You know, our seniors, these are the people that have worked their whole life and they've paid their taxes and they've worked hard to build Colorado Springs into the great city that it is.
And they did that for us. They did that for their children.
And there ought to be some venue that we can take care of them now that they're in their older years so that they can enjoy life.
Exactly.
What they've worked so hard to do. And, you know, you can't do that whenever you're taking half of your fixed income to pay for prescription drugs.
Exactly.
You know, it makes it real tight. You know, we talked a little bit earlier about you being on the County Commissioner's Board of Transportation. As a state legislature, what would be your issue with transportation? What do we need to do here in Colorado?
Les, I can tell you've done this before because you're asking some great questions. Well, the first thing we need to think about is, yes, we need roads. The T-Rex project, the concept itself, yes, we need to widen that highway. There's no doubt about it. But when you look at transportation, you can't say everything else has to wait. We can't say, let's put Colorado into a deficit so we can have more roads. If we don't have the money, yeah, that's one way to clear the roads. That's definitely one way that we can have more space on the roadways. The bottom line is, and I think it was Democratic candidate Raleigh Heath that told me this, when we learned the 3 R's growing up, it wasn't reading, it was reading, writing, and arithmetic. It wasn't roads, roads, roads. That's not going to help us. Transportation needs to be thought of the way we also look at our environment. Transportation is not another highway. It's not just another county road or city street. It's also public transportation. I know people here in town would love to see a grid system for our bus system. That's not going to cost the hundreds of millions of dollars that some of these roads are costing us. And again, I'm not saying some of these roads don't need to be repaired. We do need our road repair. We do need to improve the basic road process, but in that path, we can't take the money from the other things that we need. Luckily, we have our school money protected now. Is it enough? We'll go into more of that at another time. Our road systems, we need work on them. There's no doubt about it. But we need to think about the future. When we talk about transportation again, we need to look at the economy. We need to look at the environment. What are we looking at when we do this? When we build a road, it's not just putting asphalt down on the street. Are there ways for bicyclists, pedestrians? There's more to that process. We even had a discussion about that, trying to touch subjects here in our Highway Commission last week. We talked about the roads that we are building. When we build these roads, are we thinking about bike paths? Are we thinking about the future? When we talk about roads, we also have to talk about growth. Talk about the economy, we talk about the environment, we have to talk about growth. We need to get in our growth process, we need to pay for growth as it comes. We need people who are making the growth happen. We need some of the developers. They need to be paying for the growth. Pay as you grow is the way it goes. And again, I don't mean to put down the roads that we're building, because we need the roads.
Yeah.
But in our process, it's a big picture. It's not just, let's build a road, make everyone happy, because it doesn't. We don't want to hurt as many people as we help.
Yeah. Something you mentioned there, Mark, kind of along the environment, you know, with the wildfires that we've had and the quality of air.
Feel for those people.
You mentioned the bike paths, alternative transportation to kind of help reduce pollution.
Yes.
You know, the environment where we live, we need to take care of that.
Yes, we do. And I think, you know, unless you're saying some more good things about Colorado, because when we moved to Colorado, we came here because of the open space. We came here because of the wild, wild west. Yes, it's going to grow. There's nothing we can do about that. There's going to be more people coming every day. But that's Colorado. When we look at Colorado, some of the things that we go see, we go to the mountains, we go hiking, we go camping. That's what Colorado's all about. We look at the tourist industry. They're not coming here to see cluttered roads and cluttered cities and cluttered buildings. They're coming to see the open space. And we talk about open space, we're talking about the streams. Minimum flow, we need to keep them running. They're talking about the camping areas. They're talking about the beautiful outdoors. We need to support that. We need to make sure that we are building Colorado in a way that we support and save what Colorado's all about. That's the color in the name Colorado. That's why we're here. That's why people come to see us. They want to come see Colorado because of that open space. They want to come see that land. What are we going to do to protect it? That's what I want to make sure that I put a major emphasis on during my campaign.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mark. Are there any other issues you'd like to talk about here in the few minutes we have left?
There are so many issues that we still need to work through and to talk about. But I would like to say again, the basis for my campaign, my slogan is, again, vote Mark Entrikin, your main entrance to a more responsible government. We need to end the apathy that I know that has impacted us so much over the years. You can make a difference. What you say, what you do, what we do, working together, will make House District 16 a better place. When House District 16 becomes a better place, El Paso County, Colorado Springs, the state of Colorado, we can all make it a better place. We need plans. We don't just go do something for it to help 3% or some minority. We don't want to help just a few people when we can help a large number of people. We need to reach out with this plan to make sure that we talk about growth, we talk about environment, we talk about the economy, we talk about the schools, we talk about education. We talk about all the things that work together to make Colorado what it is. And we can do it, and we can do it by working together.
Well, you know, one of the things, old familiar saying, when the tide rises, all boats rise. You know, and here in Colorado, when we lift one, we need to lift everybody. Is there a way that people can get hold of your campaign?
You bet. You can call me at my home number here in Colorado Springs, 719-548-8798.
Okay. Do you have a website yet?
I'm working on the website now. Right now, it's just www.markentrikin.com.
Okay. Probably whenever you have that up, we'll have a link to it from the El Paso County Democratic Party website, and that is peakdems.org.
That's right, www.peakdems.org. And again, I'm hoping you are going to reach out to me because I want to reach back out to you.
Okay, Mark. Well, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Les, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, www.peakdems.org, or you can reach us here, 473-8713.
Now, Darlene's going to go over there and play Zero Gravity for $1 million. By the way, we want to take this time to because maybe we'll see you back there again. Now, let's take a look at the rest of our home winners from your state. If you don't see your name here tonight and you'd like to have a chance to be a home player, be sure and buy our Powerball scratch ticket. And all of you home players from Nebraska, you must be excited because you could win $10,000 as your champion goes on to play for $1 million on Zero Gravity. All takes place right after this.